In this video I'm going to show you how to see how many hostiles are alive, and indeed how many human players there are as well, with the press of a button. And I actually use the radio to get that information back. There's several ways to do this. You could make a sort of massive trigger that sort of counts all the objects inside, etc. But I had several issues with that. I think there was some overflow being caused by the size of the trigger. It was covering the entire map, and hundreds of OPFOR units being tested. I don't know that for sure. Appreciate anyone filling me in on that score about using large, sort of geographically large triggers. So I just use a sort of simple one in this. I'll just show you it working. So I go to these front lines. Just close that. I'll just run this just so I don't get killed. I've got quite a few mods loaded on this, and it's using the Rua map. I think that's by Temper, which is an excellent map. I really like it. Let's just take something. So I'll just go over here. You can see loads of troops building over there. If I hit the radio 00 and then 1, count enemy left, it says enemies left 214. Now, so I hit the radio buttons again. It's 204. See, it's going down as I kill. Took a bit of time, that did. Now when I go to count enemies left, it's 203, so I just killed that one. So as you can see, let's get out of the action. Let's just do this. Let's just come out of it. That's the mission scenario I'm building at the moment that I'll put on the workshop for people to play. Rather a lot happens there. So as I press 00 and then 1, count enemy left, I got a number back of how many are left to kill. What I wanted to do, you see, was alter my my map, my scenario, the dynamics of my mission, based on how many enemies were left and indeed how many human players there were. So if it's a multiplayer game and it's just one, I was going to reduce the number of hostiles and sort of mission tasks dynamically, and then if another player joined, I could put the complexity back up of the missions, and indeed likewise the number of hostiles. So there's a lot of hostiles in this map, and but if there was just one player, it's quite a tall order to take it on. So I was going to reduce. So I wanted a way to do that, to dynamically alter the mission status, the mission parameters and scope based on the number of human players and the number of hostile players. So how is this done? Well, in triggers, it's all trigger, and the first thing you want to do is just count what enemies you've got going. I put this, the activation type is radio alpha, so it could be any of the radios, which is the sort of, you press 0 and press 0 again for radio. So I've attached that button, but in fact you could attach it. Maybe you walk up to something, it's like almost like some kind of kiosk, but that's another way. But it's whatever you can attach a trigger to, really. I just call it count enemy left, so that's what appeared in the radio listing. And then it's repeatable, of course, because you want to be able to keep on doing this. It'd be nice to make, I suppose, a sort of smooth countdown as enemies are killed. I haven't conquered that one yet. But this is what I've come up with at the moment. So what I've got here is a variable that I populate with this looping alive test on x underscore x, and underscore x is actually a magic variable, internal variable, so that's just all the objects. So what it will do is count all units, that's what this does, that are alive, and underscore x is sort of looping through all the units. That's what underscore x does, it's what they call a magic variable. So you test for alive, and you count, and I'm counting out all units. Like I said, there's lots of ways to skin this cat, as they say, and this is the approach I've taken that works, so I'm sticking to it. But more than happy to receive recommendations for improvements in the comments, and I'm more than happy to update this as people come up with sort of better architectural approach, better design approach. But this is how I've done it. So first of all, I populate this variable. The underscore there is actually meaning it's all local within this scope. That's a local variable. When you drop the underscore, you're getting a global scope variable, and you'll see that happen, so you can gain access to it in other triggers. I don't need to gain access to that in any other triggers or any other scripts or whatever, so I just keep it to an underscore, save a fraction of memory, and keep it local. It's a bit tidier really. And then I do a same thing but with the players. So I count all the grouped player sort of groups. That would, in that scenario, that I just play, so it'd just be one. So there's one human. So and then I have this actual sort of human player count. I then set this global variable. As you can see, there's no underscore at the beginning of enemy left. There's no underscore, it just says enemy left, equals that total count, i.e. all units that are alive, take minus the human players, which will just be 1. And then I put a hint at the top of the screen with the hint format, which takes this sort of construct. You put a %1, and that gets replaced with whatever variable then follows. I'm not doing a sort of tutorial actually on the hint format, but there's plenty of examples in the community script guides, Bohemia script guides, the wiki, and in other places. But this puts that in the top right hand corner, that message that says enemies left, and then replaces %1 with whatever is in this global variable enemy left, which, like I said, does not have the underscore. So I also, just for effect, put in this from the RHS mod, which is a brilliant mod. All due credits to those guys. I put this sort of Russian radio chatter thing in to make it look like you're sort of, I don't know, intercepting messages, and that's how you work out how many enemy are left. But I made this map so I know the only units are hostiles and then the players. There are no civilian or agents or what have you. It's all OPFOR and blue 4, so it's simple. That's why I know the count all units works fine. So I do all that. So that means the 0, 0, and then the 1 for the radio brings up the enemy count. What you could then do with that, if I look at this trigger here, which is just, you know, like the other trigger, it's just 0, 0. There's no real dimension to it. This is a bit of game logic, you see. So I can pick up enemy left value and see if it's less than 5. If it is, I actually end the game. I say, well, you've done good enough, so you end it. This is an example, and when you end the game, I've just picked this is CP cup sound there, but you can put what you like there or nothing. So okay, so it's less than 5, so you've more or less routed the enemy. But that could, you could set that to enemy left is 0 to make sure you have routed the enemy. And then on activation, you see you could put other scripts in there to do other things, maybe to spawn some further units, or maybe you would connect to a show hide object modifier, which is what I'll probably do in my next video, and that would bring in some more enemies as well. So there's sort of lots of things to do there. So as you can see, there's the first trigger, does the count, has no dimensions, and its activation by radio. It's repeatable and does a bit of basic maths and a bit of counting. Second trigger is the one that ends the game, because it looks at one of those variables, sees if it's less than 5 I've got in there, and then it is a type end one, meaning it forces the end of the game. Anyway, I hope that's useful, and please leave any comments. Thank you.